Good morning. I'm excited to have the opportunity today to introduce you to an incredible student. While his contributions and impact are many, it's a conversation that he and I had during his last week of high school that inspired me to be in front of you today. This is Phils. Phils is a refugee from Haiti who arrived as a sixth grader in one of the middle schools in 2011. By the age of 10, Phils has experienced childhood poverty, watching his home and community of Port-au-Prince crumble during the catastrophic earthquake of 2010, the loss of his father and a number of other family members and friends, and the horrendous living conditions in the refugee camp just outside of his city walls, where his mother and he and his remaining family were relocated. Phil spoke often of his good fortune, which was always shocking to everyone around him. The fact that he had a great aunt and cousin in the United States that found a way to get him and his, by this time, terminally ill mother here. With little formal education, absolutely no English, and a lifetime of trauma, Phil's walked through the doors of that middle school ready to be a learner and a hard worker. Phil's early days in our schools were marked by extreme moments of triumph and extreme moments of defeat. His hard work earned him an academic success and rapid language development. His trauma, on the other hand, left him with significant emotional disturbance. He found a passion for music and dance, but also a conflict having to choose every year between having to roll in music or English language development. By the time Phils reached his final years of high school, he had become a confident, successful, and highly respected member of his school community. He shared openly and candidly with staff and students his past experiences. He tried to impress upon all of us how fortunate we all are. He described what it was like to move to a new place and be one of the only Black faces at his school. He explained how it felt to sit in our classrooms for years, barely able to communicate, and now how speaking two languages was probably his greatest gift. By all accounts, Phil was a successful student. 3.0 GPA, successful athlete, biliterate, always engaged in community service, and eager to share and be a part of his school community. So you can imagine my surprise when 1 week before his graduation day, Phil sought me out at the district office. He left his school, he traveled all the way downtown, and he walked into an office having remembered that once upon a time I gave a presentation at a staff meeting he and I were both at his school, where I talked about A through G requirements, where I talked about graduation requirements. And he came in looking for someone, in his own words, who understood transcripts and grades. Phil didn't think he was going to be able to graduate. He couldn't understand why. He was here looking for answers. He took all the classes he was told to take. He got A's and B's, turned in all of his work. He was respectful, well behaved in class. So why in the world would he ever have to worry about this? 1 week before he was supposed to graduate, he, not his counselor, not his teachers, no parents at home, not a school administrator, but he noticed that this tiny little box on his transcript reading, in quotes, met Algebra 1 requirement was not marked. I looked at this transcript and I was shocked. He was right. He had been enrolled in the same pre-algebra class for 4 years straight, never once earning below a B+. How could this happen? I asked him, had he ever had a conversation about this with anyone? He said his only memory was the fact that when he did his classes, he asked if he wanted to take the teacher that he had before. They had a good relationship, so he answered, "Of course I do. I'd love to stay in her class." He never understood for a moment that that response meant that he was going into the exact same remedial class year after year. I tell you this because this is just one of many, many examples of how our grading system is failing our students, the very people it's designed to support. Grades are meant to provide evidence of student learning. Grades are meant to provide feedback for students and parents about where their proficiency has been met and where it hasn't. Grades are the universal marker of success. Unfortunately, our traditional A through F 100-point scale grading system doesn't do this. Traditional grades, more often than not, are markers of privilege, they're markers of compliance, but they're not necessarily markers of competence in the desired knowledge or skills that we're hoping for our students to leave with. The time has come for us to design and implement a grading and feedback system that is transparent, consistent, and based solely on students' proficiency. Proficiency-based education is any system of academic instruction and assessment and reporting that is based on a learner's demonstration of proficiency in their knowledge and their skills. It also requires that we let them know what the expectation is before they set forth in their learning. We are operating in a system where students have to interpret what is expected of them from class to class, teacher to teacher, even one grade to the next. Two teachers in our schools teaching the exact same class in the exact same school can have significantly different expectations and definitions of success. Their grading scales are completely different. What message is this sending to our students? How could we possibly adequately provide feedback for growth, much less appropriately and timely interventions? The simple answer is we can't. There is no question that every member of our team in this organization are here to support and educate our students. Every one of us wants to provide the most positive and equitable school experience we can. No one is okay with what happened to Phil's. But thankfully, we had 1 week to make sure that he walked across that graduation stage with his peers. We're lucky that he took the initiative to ask questions, to advocate for himself. How many of our students won't or don't know that they need to? We can do better for our students by coming together and building a new, transparent, consistent, and proficiency-based education system. Thank you, and I look forward to the work we have ahead.